we start with the problem. What is a dance piece? So do we need a product? Do we need to really to have a point where people pay entrance fee to see a high glossy something piece? Is this dance? So it's obviously not. There are lots of forms of production, or the system of production, or the way of producing dance, or to work on dance. It sounds like a cliche, but it's true. It needs a lot of time for research. So it's not the same if you make a theater piece, or if you make an opera piece, or if you make a dance something, let's say something. And so this is how what dance is. And if you talk about this, what is really content-wise about the art form, you have to talk about how to organize circumstances or conditions for working in dance. Plus, you need to think about how to fund this art form, and then you have to have a look at the funding system as it is now. There's no institutionalized funding of dance except Sascha Waltz and Guests. It's an ensemble. Tula Limnaios, it's an ensemble, and the State Ballet. And if you want to count it, it's Constanza Makras in der Konzeptförderung. So this is everything we have in terms of institutions. There is no, let's say, house for dance, or a house for choreography. There's no single theater that is only made for dance who can really bring dance to the audience on a regular basis in all its forms. And this and that, the funding system, the structure, plus how this dance work, content-wise, art-wise, needs another thinking about the art, about funding of dance in Berlin. And it's why, we have a new government, and in the coalition paper is written, we need to change the funding system for dance, and it is absolutely true, and it's necessary, and it's an old, not only wish, it's really necessary. And I totally agree that it's if dance is not supported as in any kind of institutions, or in really not so many institutions, we need more money for project funding. But what does this mean? It's really short-term. How can we organize really a continuous support of dance makers, dance artists? The discussion, I really would like to stress, the discussion comes from what is dance, and how do we work on dance and movement, and also how do we present. It's not that we don't want to present dance to an audience, it's another form. And there is this necessity to get the audience informed, this is also dance, plus get politics informed, this is dance, and this is the way dance works, and that's why we need this and this and that in the funding system.
What would you say about this kind of affirmation that artists should not be wasting time in cultural politics or engaging in politics, because this is why there is other people doing this for them?
It's a mistake. I'm quite sure it's a mistake. As you said, I find it really interesting what you said, that you have to know how it works. You have to know what's going on, and you have to know. There's still this old saying that so dance is the art form where people don't speak. So every time in theaters, if they cut money, it's the dance department that gets less money, or gets really cut, because they are not able to defend themselves. And it's all this old stuff where you think, listen, it's not about this. So dance makers are able to speak, and it would be great if they would know how the funding system works. You don't have to go into detail. It's interesting for me personal. I find it interesting to know in detail who talks about what and who's connected with whom, so that I know where I can intervene. I don't think that artists have to go into deep processes, but they have to know how the funding system works, that we have the Einstiegsförderung, the Einzelprojektförderung, and that there is somewhere a gap, and they need to know why is there a gap, and what does it mean for me if I depend on funding. If you say I don't want to be funded, then of course, then I don't know if you have to know how the funding system works, but how politics work and how politicians speak and how less they know about art in general and about dance making in particular. Plus, for me personally, I think that we should argue politically wherever we are. If you're a part of the system.
What is the main difficulty to engage artists in this kind of political discussions and political meetings?
It might be, of course. I mean, I'm the right person, but actually, I'm on the other side. I ask myself the same question: where are they? And then sometimes in bad times, I think, wow, maybe it's just we are too spoiled. There's nothing wrong, or you have the feeling there's nothing wrong, or you have the feeling that you can't change anything. If you are living in difficult circumstances, or where art is not less funded or whatever, I don't know if I have the feeling that artists don't feel or don't see a necessity to engage politically. Plus that they see if they engage, nothing happens, or nothing, they are not able to change anything. Because this is the point, it's really long term. It's really you struggle for 20 years or even longer. Or now we are working on the Allgemeine Anweisung. I can remember it was like yesterday that we worked on the old ones, on the old change in 2007. And sometimes I think, did we change anything? I mean, isn't it the same? But it's not true. You forget about it over the long distance that you reached a lot. Actually, you reached a lot. Plus, you reached that they talk to you. It's not common that politicians talk to you, or that they say, we want to change the Allgemeine Anweisung. Do you want to be part of the process? So this is not common, that people invite dance makers or art makers in general to be part of the process. Then you need to find your place in the process. Of course, it's not that they hand over the entire lawmaking to you. So you need to know you can make suggestions, and in the end nothing comes out of it. So this was also part of the 2006-2007 process, that we already thought we can have a dance funding system, we can have a dance jury, so this didn't go through, but Einstiegsförderung went through. The opening of Spielstättenförderung, it's now called Spielstättenförderung and Produktionsraumförderung. So there is slightly changes, and I can also imagine there are a lot of international working artists or non-German artists here, and time is running fast. You are here and there, and if you want to wait, if in 10 years the Allgemeine Anweisung change, I mean, it's really you really need to have this langer Atem, and you need to be able to see also the little changes as a big success. This is politics. Yeah, I'm not an artist, so I don't. I need to rely on. And this is also so we come back to Ada Studio, this is also the strategy of our house, that the only thing I can do is, this is the house, I would immediately, and this we also do, I would immediately give it into your hand, artist. If you tell me you are absolutely wrong, what you are doing is not what we need. But for this I would need to know, what are you thinking, what are you up for, what is the thinking of an artist, what you said. And this would be also very helpful for us, how to probably restructure the house. Plus, it would have another would be another discussion with the politicians. We could say, listen, there's nobody applying for Nadran because they don't want to present anymore. It might be true. It is probably true that most of the dance artists say, no, it's we just don't need this platform anymore. We need residencies, and if we would have only applicants for long-term residencies, we would argue in another way towards politicians. It has this long run in how to argue as a presenter or as an artistic director, but the initiative, of course, needs to come from the artist. this is actually what I want to do. First, to encourage artists to tell or to argue, this is what we need. I create a space, wherever it is, with the help from whomever, to have a contemporary form of presenting art, I would say. And in this direction, my encouragement would go, really to encourage other people than myself to invite people to present art or to show art. And this includes also, sometimes I have the feeling that the power is somehow, who has the power? Is it the curator or is it the artist? I actually think that the art, if there's no artist, then no curator. So I would actually encourage young artists or emerging artists to really to have more this consciousness of saying, listen, I am the one. If I don't present my art, you are unemployed. You're over there in the big house. I'm sorry, artists must learn German. If you want to talk to politicians, they just don't speak English. I mean, the meetings at the Abgeordnetenhaus, they are in German, they are definitely in German. And if you want to know what they are talking about, it's interesting anyways to know what people are talking about at the bakery, at the wherever. If you understand this cultural political organizations of dance, for instance, ZDB, if you understand yourself as the link between artists and politics, you have a problem. Because actually the work, you are absolutely right, the language of the work is English and the language of politics is German. But how to link it, this is the question. In general, I see this danger of being in UFA studios. And what does it mean? Are we here bubble and is it closed and how open is it and how open is it aesthetically spoken? How is it? Are we arrogant? Yes, we are arrogant. How to go ahead and all these questions. So I have the feeling artists are going to the places where they can show their pieces. And they don't, maybe I'm wrong, and they don't ask what is the aesthetic of the place. The best example is like SOS Students on Stage. It's really like a political issue at the moment. Because what we present there is really like, sometimes you think that this is not contemporary dance. And it brings you to the question, what is contemporary dance? It's a lot of dance, because we invite all the private dance schools where dance is a subject. And then we mix it up with HCT. And then it's really like a clash. It's a cultural clash. It's a dance clash. And I like this clash, and I like to stand for this idea, because the studio writer was writing about it, and she said, it's interesting, there's a lot of dance and a lot of dance aesthetics in the world during education in Berlin, and then it all of a sudden disappears. And there are only a few dance aesthetics left. Where's the rest? This question, where's the rest? Maybe it's not interesting, maybe nobody wants to see it, maybe somebody judges that it's not interesting anymore. But this is a question, where is it? And it is somewhere, and this brings us back to the labeling of places. Who am I to say dance is not part of the discourse at the moment? I mean, a dance, really making dance pieces. And then we just invited them and to tell people they are in Berlin, they make art, and who are we to say this is not part of the contemporary dance scene in Berlin. So this is what I found important, or still find important, to let come the bubbles up to show the audience, whoever it is. This is in the world. It's one of the part that creates the Berlin dance scene. And this is important, not to forget there are other people, and also to encourage them to, nobody has to hide. It's really an ongoing question. Who am I to say? Of course I have my personal taste, and of course I read a lot, and I know what is the contemporary dance discourse. I try to get it. But still, there's a lot of other things and a lot of art forms going on, and we have to accept it, and we also have to make it visible.
Yeah.
We need a dance jury. It was so, this year it became so clear to me. I was a lot of times when we had the Tänzer Stipendium, I was part of the Tänzer Stipendium jury. And it's a completely other discussion if you are somehow on the same level of knowledge. It's a lot about, you have, all three always had a really huge expertise coming from different angles, what is really great. One came from the university, one of a festival curator, circumstances, and me, or other. So three different people with an expertise, and they're talking about a dance work just from different perspectives, but with the same sort of knowledge. And what I miss in this mixed juries is really that we have all, and it's hard for dance, I know. You need to know a lot, and you need to, it's good if you have seen a lot of dance pieces that you have to, you can compare, or you know where the discourse is also. What are people doing in 2017? Artists should be part of the jury. Where is the point? Where is the point? I need to sign this paper that I'm not the wife or a concubine or a cousin or whatever of the person that applies. So why not for artists? I find it really important that artists are part of the jury processes. Actually, I'm a dance dramaturg. I'm actually a ballet dramaturg. So this is what I wanted to do. I studied theater studies, and I really wanted to be part of the Komische Oper, because this was my favorite dance theater model. And first they had a brilliant dance dramaturg there, plus the opera changed, so there was no place for me. Then I was at different theaters in Germany, and then there was a point in 1998 when I thought there is other dance than, in an institutionalized way, than ballet and dance theater, all this stuff. And then I got in touch with Barbara Friedrich. She was at that time the curator of Tanztage at Pfefferberg, and she engaged me. I was in Cottbus at the State Theater at that time, and she engaged me, or asked me, or I asked her. It was it was really, I didn't know her, but a lot of dancers told me, you have to meet her. She's just amazing. She's the person who somehow creates stuff. At Pfefferberg it was a concert place, and she created there a really huge festival for emerging choreographers. So I met her, and she created somehow a job for me there, and we worked together until Tanztage moved to Sophienseele. So this was the point when I came into this was the first time when I came into the freelance dance scene, seeing how it works, and even in 1999 it was like, you needed to apply for money to make dance pieces. It was the same. It was harder because there was less money, but there were also less artists. So this 18 years I've been witnessing the process now. It's really amazing to see how it grew, and how professional the freelance dance scene in Berlin got, how it developed in the meanwhile. So this is how I dived into contemporary dance. And then it happened after my time. Pfefferberg got reconstructed in 2002. So it was then finished there, and I got then a job at K77, the Bewegungsstudio, for a little management job 2 times a week. So organizing the classes, organizing really little performances there. And over the time in 2006, there was a group of artists saying, listen, it would be great, we could show some out of our research. Again, it was already there in 2006. Describing the process, what is dance It's a lot about research. It's a lot about the question where to show what we are working on. So K77 was actually the ideal place, this really little sheltered space where people come, not that many, where people can give feedback, where you can talk. And then there was this little group of artists who said it would be great to have a bit of a bigger space, or maybe an additional space that we can teach and rehearse at K77, can perform in another place. And so it was like saying on a Wednesday, let's have a look where we can find a place. And then I got a call on Thursday, there is a place, do you want to move in? So it was really short term that we found the old Ada studio in the Schönhausallee.
And that was 19...
It was in 2006.
Oh, 2006.
Yeah, it was in during Tanzim August in 2006 that we found it. Then there was a long process how to organize it. How do we want to have a verein? Do we have, I mean, all these questions, you know, if you have a group and ask yourself how to organize things. And then it, also long process, who wants to do what. So the group split it somehow, that people stayed in K77 and other people stayed with Ada Studio. There was not that many connections any longer. But still, first Ada Studio was created as this place where people work and maybe open their research processes or their rehearsal processes towards an audience and have discussions, have talks about it.
Is it a profile of artists that work or present work in other studios? Is it like a particular profile, or?
It's really hard for people that come into town or who graduate or who are dancers and want to make first pieces to find this first place. It's a fact. It was a fact in 2006. It changed a bit now, but it was a fact in 2006. And then it came quite fast that everybody knew, if you come to Berlin, you need to give these guys a call. There is the place where you can also short term show your work.
You feel a gap that there was also.
Absolutely. There was this gap. I mean, there was this gap in terms of, again, the dance form art. Where do you start? What is a first work? Is it full-length evening? There was also the discussion about what is full-length evening. Is if we program a triple bill, each piece 20 minutes, then it's a full-length evening. But the other question is because I hear it very often, that emerging is not full-length evening and mid-career and established artist is full-length evening, is the typical curator's question. What I think is not true. It doesn't have to do with. It just has to do with what is a result of my work, or what is an in-between result of my work. So it might be short, it might be 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So this came out of a discussion about, or it came out of an observation. What do people want to present if they don't have this ready piece, whatever it is?
And now that you get so many applications or people wanting to present, how is this decision making? I mean, do you have like the criterias depend, on what do they depend, these criterias?
There are no criteria.
Okay.
There are criteria like, I know it's a strange question about being professional. It has to be somehow professional work. So it's not that I study series reading, is there a graduation or stuff like that. But if dance is part or is a big part of the life of people that apply, you know, it's hard to describe what is professional. Is a result. If you take a workshop somewhere and you learned a lot, is this what came out of your personal process? Is this something that an audience is interested in? It's really, sometimes it's quite on the edge. No, it's not that often on the edge. It's sometimes on the edge. To just decide what is it. We take everybody. it's an important question not to talk about personal taste. It's all not about my personal taste. But
but sometimes you say no as well, or
I said never no.